Closed captioning of this program is made possible by the Fireman's Fund Foundation.
Welcome to MHS Live. I'm Mariah Kenton.
And I'm Fiona Brayton.
The 2008 recession was not just a crisis in the United States, but it also affected the economy globally. The housing market was exponentially falling, leaving thousands homeless and unable to find jobs to support their families. Breaking news. Today we have dug up John Maynard Keynes from the grave. Is that possible? What is going on? Scientists have been able to miraculously receive him, and we are lucky enough to have him in our studio tonight, explaining to us what exactly contributed to the recession in 2008 and how it can be fixed and prevented.
So stay tuned for an interview with John Maynard Keynes in 60 minutes after this short break.
So then I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm flattered that you love chocolate, but I'm here strictly in a professional. What's wrong with him?
He thinks you're naked.
My shell is brown. It just looks like my milk chocolate is showing. Only a fool would think I'd actually show up naked.
So it's that kind of party. Hit it!
I'm sexy and I know it. Ay. Look at that body. Look at that body. Look at that body. I work out. Wiggle, 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 yeah.
Today on 60 Minutes, I will be interviewing John Maynard Keynes about the recession in 2008. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Keynes.
Oh, no problem.
So to start off, who was affected by the 2008 recession?
Everyone was affected globally. It wasn't just the United States. The Iceland Bank collapsed and their unemployment tripled. The regulators were hired by the banks. So 50 million people could be below the poverty line.
So where was regulation at this point?
Well, there was none. Reagan deregulated completely, and that allowed banks to make risky investments, causing a financial crisis.
How were investments paid at this time?
They get paid if their actions made money right then and there. So they did whatever it took to get fast money, meaning they took risky investments.
Can you tell me anything about the bucket shop laws?
Well, the bucket shops were an establishment, the name for the transaction of stock exchange businesses or business of similar character, but really for the registration of bets or wages, usually for small amounts on the rise or fall of the prices of stocks, grain, oil, etc. There being no transfer or delivery of the stock of commodities nominally dealt in.
What can you tell me about the credit default swaps?
Well, in September of 2008, the unregulated OTC market included whatever was estimated to be 35 to 65 trillion in credit default swaps, CDS. It is now conventional wisdom that the unregulated multi-trillion-dollar OTC CDS market formed a mortgage crisis. And finally, a once-in-a-century systematic financial crisis. But for trillion-dollar U.S. taxpayer interventions would have in the fall of 2008 completely destroyed the worldwide financial system.
Wow, and can you tell me anything about the credit derivatives?
Privately held negotiable bilateral contracts that allow users to manage their exposure to credit risk. Credit derivatives are financial assets like forward contracts, swaps, and options for which the price is driven by the credit risk of economic agents, private investors, or government.
What is happening to the executives of these companies that are causing the economy to crash?
Well, people like Joseph Cassano, an officer of AIG Financial Product Division, are making risky bets from the time they start until they retire. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars while they're working for the business. But once the business starts to crash, they retire before the government has to bail it out. They're all left with all this money, but the government is left with spending millions of dollars fixing the crashed companies. Therefore, our economy is crashing.
So can you tell me anything about this Investment Modernization Act and how it creates problems?
The Investment Modernization Act gave incentives to help low-income borrowers get a home, which is not a bad idea if it is done right. This ended up forcing banks to issue $1 trillion in subprime loans and create subprime securities. Bear Stearns was the first to do this, and Fannie Mae added fuel to the fire, and subprime mortgages start to grow, and home prices started to rise.
So what did Bush do to create this mess?
Well, he enforced the Investment Modernization Act, which repealed budget shop laws, making it legal to buy bets on stocks.
Can you explain the TARP program?
The TARP program allowed the government to bail out banks, which cost us $700 billion.
Now, what about the second bailout?
They needed to save GM and saved troubled mortgages with cost of even more money.
Can you tell me about what Bush's views were on individuals owning homes at this time?
Well, Bush said that even the poor can own a house, but the thing with that is that they can only afford the house on an adjustable rate mortgage.
Now, exactly what is an adjustable rate mortgage and what are the issues with it?
Okay. Well, an adjustable rate mortgage is a type of mortgage in which the interest rate paid on the outstanding balance varies according to a specific benchmark. The initial interest rate is normally fixed for a period of time, after which it is reset periodically, often every month. The interest rate paid by the borrower will be based on a benchmark, plus an additional spread, called an ARM margin. And if you research this online, you will find it on Investopedia.com.
And how did the government help people that inherited investment risks?
They bailed them out when the bankers made bad investments, costing the country money. Yet the investors are getting paid either way, screwing everyone else.
Can you tell me what was going on with the shortage of demand at this time?
Well, because unemployment was high, people couldn't afford to buy things, and companies were not selling as much.
How do you plan to fix this recession, Mr. Keynes?
Well, like I always say, spend the bad and save the good. I believe we need to steer markets and up spending to bring the economy back. We need to reduce interest rates and up government investments in infrastructures, as well as reduce unemployment, providing more jobs. We also need to not have people who work for the business on the board, and we need to stop bailing out the businesses and just let them crash. And as the public goes, if you cannot afford a loan, do not get it. If you want to own a home, get a fixed rate mortgage, not an adjustable rate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Keynes, for letting me interview you and providing us with the knowledge about this recession.
Oh, no problem. I hope my information was useful and will advise people on how to control the economy better, not letting this crisis happen again. Now we know to spend in the bad and save in the good, and keep our eyes open on risky investments.
And make sure we don't get loans that we can't pay off.
Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you for watching MHS Live.
Bye-bye.
When I walk on by, girls be looking like Debbie Fly. I pimp to the beat, walking down the street and my new the freak, yeah. This is how I roll, animal print pants out control.
So stay tuned for an
I was so close to the end. So close. That was pretty good for the first try. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust it. Hold on.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
So to start off, what...
No!
So to start off, who was affected by the 2008 recession?
A lot of people.
Well,
A lot of people were affected.
No, okay. How about we make it so you cannot?
Everyone was affected globally. It wasn't just the United States. The Iceland bank collapsed and their unemployment... The Iceland bank collapsed and their unemployment tripled. Ian, stop. Do you have to pee? Oh, hold on, let me do that. Well, Bush said that even the poor can own a house. But Ian, you can't breathe. It catches you. It'll hear you go...
I'm not doing that.
No, don't make noise.
I'm not breathing.
You were though.
No,
I'm just saying.
He has to breathe.
No, I'm not. You know, still recording.
He has to breathe.
Yeah, still record. No, he was going.
No, that was you.
My arms are getting tired, so.
It's hard to keep a straight face when you don't have a mustache on.
You like my mustache.
This really hurts.